Hip-hop is a dangerous game. While many artists create an image just to market themselves, other rappers live their rhymes, even the younger ones. Here's a look at a few of the most popular teenage rappers who have been charged with murder. YNW Melly. Jamel Maurice Demons, aka YNW Melly, is a rapper/singer from Gifford, Florida. Melly was raised by a single mother who had him at the age of 14. They lived in a poor part of Gifford, and Melly's mother often struggled to pay the bills. Melly joined the Bloods at a young age and was first arrested at 15 for shooting at a group of students near a local high school. He was part of a hip-hop collective called YNW, short for Young Nigga World or Young New Wave. Alongside his friends Anthony YNW Sack Chaser Williams, Christopher YNW Juvie Thomas Jr., and Cortland YNW Bortland Henry. He uploaded his first song to YouTube in 2015 and released his first EP called Collect Call from prison in 2017. After being released from jail, Melly followed up on the success of that tape and began building a considerable buzz for himself. His breakout hit, Murder on My Mind, gained him national attention and eventually earned him high-profile collaborations with the likes of Kanye West and Lyrical Lemonade's Cole Bennett. Just as Melly was reaching his pinnacle, he was charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder for the killing of his friends and collaborators YNW Sack Chaser and YNW Juvie. Both artists were childhood friends of Melly, and the exact motive for the killing has not been established. However, prosecutors allege that Melly and YNW Bortland committed the murder and then tried to stage it to look like a drive-by shooting. Around 4 a.m. on October 26, 2018, Bortland brought Sack Chaser and Juvie to the hospital, claiming that they had been shot and killed in a drive-by shooting. Not long after, on January 3, 2019, Melly and Bortland were arrested for the killing. Authorities claim that the two conspired to kill their friends and make it look like a drive-by shooting. The murder weapon was never recovered, but prosecutors claim cell phone records and surveillance footage prove that Bortland lied about the path he took to the hospital and Melly lied about his whereabouts on the night of the shooting. Plus, they say forensic evidence shows the fatal shots were fired from inside the vehicle, not from the outside. They claim that Melly shot the 2 victims from the backseat at a waste treatment plant and disposed of the weapons while Bortland drove to the hospital. More recently, it's been alleged that authorities have obtained a voice recording of Melly admitting that he committed the murder. However, despite this supposed evidence, there is no murder weapon, witnesses, or DNA evidence to tie Melly to the crime scene. Melly has claimed he is completely innocent and that the police are trying to set him up. He hired a high-profile attorney that helped Lil Boosie beat a murder charge back in 2010, and neither he nor Bortland has cooperated with authorities. He's facing the death penalty if convicted, so prosecutors will need to provide solid evidence to make the conviction stick. Melly's alleged motive behind the killing remains unclear. A video recorded by Melly's mother on Instagram that claimed Sack Chaser was threatening her and her friends for money circulated online. Fans have speculated that this may indicate a possible motive. However, the context of the video is vague. Another possible motive floated by commentators was that Juvie and Sack Chaser were receiving a portion of Melly's profits as members of YNW, and the killing was over money. By all reports, Sack Chaser and Juvie were Melly's childhood friends, and if he did kill them, he must have had a serious reason. The trial has been delayed by the coronavirus pandemic, and the official date is unclear. Bortland has been released on a $75,000 bond, and Melly is still in jail, despite applying for release due to COVID-19. If convicted, Melly and Bortland face either life in prison without possibility of parole or a death sentence. Tay K. Taymor Trayvon McIntyre, better known as TK47 or just Tay K, is a rapper originally from Long Beach, California, but associated with Arlington, Texas. Tay K is best known for his popular viral hit, The Race, that he released while on the run from authorities in 2017. At the time, he was wanted for the killing of Zachary Below in Mansfield, Texas. Tay K, along with 6 other people, were arrested in 2016 for participating in a robbery where Below was killed. Authorities claim that Tay K and the others planned to rob Below, who was a drug dealer, but a confrontation resulted in his death. He was put on house arrest to await his trial, but he cut off his ankle monitor and went on the run. While on the run, it's alleged that he also killed 23-year-old Mark Anthony Saldivar in the parking lot of a Chick-fil-A. Saldivar was a photographer who Tay K and a friend lured into a car so they could rob him of his photography equipment. Saldivar escaped the vehicle and called for help, which led to the driver to try to hit him. Saldivar jumped on the hood of the car, which is when Tay K allegedly jumped out and shot him. Also while on the run, 65-year-old Oni Pete claims that Tay K robbed him at gunpoint and assaulted him with the weapon in the park in Arlington. Tay K and crew eventually fled to Elizabeth, New Jersey, which is where he wrote and recorded The Race. The song was a huge hit and even debuted at number 70 on the Billboard charts. but TK's rap career was cut short as quickly as it began, after he was captured by authorities on June 30th, 2017. Only 17 at the time of the killings, TK was originally booked as a minor but transferred to adult jail a few weeks after his arrest. TK proclaimed his innocence, and the popular hashtag #FreeTK continued to accelerate his fame online. However, the evidence against him was tough to beat. On July 15, 2019, TK pled guilty to 2 counts of aggravated robbery and was found guilty of a 3rd count of murder and aggravated robbery by a jury for the killing of Below. He was given 55 years for the murder charge, 30 years for one of the counts of aggravated robbery, and 13 years for the 2 other robbery charges. He will serve the sentences concurrently, but isn't eligible for parole for at least 27.5 years. In August of 2019, he was also found guilty of capital murder in the Saldivar case. TK is continuing to appeal both of these charges, but it doesn't seem likely that he'll get out anytime soon. NBA Youngboy. Kentrell Deshaun Gaulden, better known as NBA Youngboy, is a popular singer and rapper from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Youngboy was primarily raised by his grandmother after his father was sentenced to 55 years in prison for armed robbery. He dropped out of high school at age 14 to focus on his music career, but was arrested for robbery shortly after. He released his first project, Life Before Fame, in 2015 and began gaining national attention with his 2016 project, 38 Baby, that featured verses from high-profile Baton Rouge artists like Kevin Gates and Boosie Badass. His debut album, Until Death Call My Name, was released in 2018 to critical acclaim. Despite all his success as a rapper, Youngboy has had numerous incidents with the law since being released for the robbery charge, including 2 counts of attempted murder. In November of 2016, U.S. Marshals arrested Youngboy before a performance in Austin, Texas, for allegedly being the gunman in a drive-by shooting that occurred in South Baton Rouge. He was charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder for the shooting, at only 17 years old. He was incarcerated for almost a year, but pled guilty to a lesser charge of aggravated assault with a firearm and was sentenced to a suspended 10-year prison term and 3 years of probation. This meant that Youngboy was able to walk free, but would be under strict supervision by authorities. Youngboy was arrested again in February 2018 for an incident involving his girlfriend, Jania Jackson, in a hotel room in Tallahassee. He was charged with assault, weapons violation, and kidnapping for this incident. Surveillance footage from the hotel shows Youngboy allegedly assaulting Jania and throwing her to the ground. He was in jail for about a month, but later released on a $75,000 bond. Jania took to social media to claim that the charges were exaggerated and that Youngboy never meant her any harm. Youngboy confirmed this statement and claimed that he and Jania were simply messing around and the footage was taken out of context. He agreed to plead guilty to 1 count of simple battery for family violence and was sentenced to take anger management courses and a $1,500 fine. Youngboy was arrested again in 2019 after a shooting in Miami between his entourage and a crew associated with Detroit rapper Tee Grizzley. The incident happened in May 2019 outside the Trump International Beach Resort in Miami. The 2 groups exchanged words, which quickly escalated into gunfire. Youngboy was not harmed, but 3 people were shot, and 1 was killed. The man who was killed was 43-year-old Mohammed Jarati, an innocent bystander who happened to be nearby. A 5-year-old boy was also grazed by a bullet, but treated at the scene and did not sustain serious injuries. The 3rd victim was Youngboy's new girlfriend, Kaylin Marie Long, who was shot in the arm but treated at the hospital. Despite all the collateral damage, Florida has a stand your ground law. Youngboy's lawyers were able to successfully argue that the shooting was an assassination attempt, and therefore, his crew did nothing wrong by firing back. Youngboy was sentenced to 3 months in jail for violating his parole, but was not charged with the murder. Surprisingly, the judge showed leniency and officially terminated his probation and suspended sentence for the 2016 aggravated robbery charge on December 13, 2019. But despite his stroke of luck, Youngboy continued to get in trouble. He was arrested along with 16 others in September 2020 for various charges, including distribution and manufacture of drugs and possession of stolen firearms. He's currently fighting this charge, and his lawyers claim that there is no evidence to tie him to the drugs and guns found on the scene. Whether Youngboy is ultimately found guilty or not, he has a lengthy criminal history for someone who is barely 21.